All right, what's up, everybody? Happy Thursday evening. If you're listening and watching live, as there's been some 76ers news that is late breaking, which we'll get to coming up here in just 1 second. But hello, if you're watching the show later on, Devon Givens going to jump in here in a second and join us. We're going to talk Sixers for obviously the first 15 or 20 minutes or so. We got a game coming up, Sixers at the Jazz at 10 p.m. It's 9 p.m. Eastern as we speak. And then after we talk about it, we'll chop it up with Devon about his new gig at PHLY. He is the 76er insider, and he talks about the 76ers strictly. So we'll talk to him coming up in a second. But appreciate everybody joining us and everybody tuning in. The subscribers are nearly 1,100. So in the couple weeks we've been doing this, have gotten great feedback from everybody. So thank you. So if you're watching us live and you haven't watched before, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's at John Marks Media. And I put out videos a couple times a week. I'm hoping, and I think next week might be the first week, we're going to do it Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. I've just had some other stuff that's going on where I can't do it every night at 9 p.m., but I'm trying to, going forward, just do it every night at 9 p.m. That way everybody knows it's coming every night at 9 o'clock. But let's bring him in right now. Man, I haven't talked to this guy. Well, it's been a couple of weeks since I've talked to him, but it feels like I haven't talked to this guy in a really long time. His name is Devon Givens, and if there's anybody in this business that I can say is, I don't know anybody that ever said anything negative about Devon. He's like Teflon. Everybody loves the guy. Unlike me, people have a lot of things to say about me. Devon,
well, I would hope that they haven't said anything negative, but everybody gets, you can't please everybody, but, it's all good. But to your point, I appreciate it for all the good things that people have said. What's up, Johnny?
Yeah, I don't care what people say. You know I'm a good guy. That's the thing. The people that know me like you know that I'm a good guy. First of all, and let me say this before we get into the 76er stuff, because I know you just did an emergency pod with Kyle Lubeck and Derek Bodner, because obviously there's big Sixers news. And I do want to talk to you about your career transition before we get out of here. I know the game's at 10 o'clock, and you have post-game duties afterwards, so you got to pay attention to the game. But yeah, I couldn't be happier for you. I talked to you. You called me before the news was coming out that you were leaving the Fanatic and you were going to be having to wait a little bit of time before starting your new gig. But you called me, and I'm so happy for you because you deserve this and you earned this, and you knew that. I've known you almost as long as anybody in this business. You were my intern. You were on my intern tree, and you deserve it. And you're so talented, and I'm so happy to see how much you're thriving at your new gig, man.
Thank you, man. Yeah, yes, I still do talk to my friends. So I did talk to you and, a couple of others just to kind of give everybody a heads up before anything came down, because I felt like that was important, especially for the ones who helped me get to the point where I am right now, yourself and a few others that you know of. And I needed to make those phone calls because of what you guys did for me, what you did for me specifically, and helping me learn so much on the side that we were on to get to this point to make a decision that I did make a few months back. So glad to be here with you. Glad to be talking to your audience and catching up so they can understand our story a little bit more. Yes, I was Johnny's intern. So when you say almost as long as anybody knows, it was you and a few others that we were there together. Yeah, that was us. Yeah, Joe the camera, Tim McManus, right? We were all there together. Yeah, Tom Byrne, all of us. Yep.
At the very beginning, yeah, there was a lot of guys before. Seltzer came along a little bit after that era, right? He was pretty early on, but he wasn't that early on. I don't know if he was 950 days.
Was Seltzer 950? No, he might have been. I think he might have been 97.5. Yeah, 97.5. But you had Harry on already.
I did.
Harry and Dan Schwartz were the first ones to actually put me on the air and let me have a fantasy football segment. So yeah, man, a lot of great people, still friends till this day. And I love the fact that, and that's the thing, Johnny, I love the fact that we're all still close in some way, all of us.
Yeah, my last WIP show at Chickies and Pete's. It wasn't my last actual show, but my last WIP show. Look, Devon's out there in the studio audience. And he came up and said, wanted to say hi, wanted to say congratulations and everything. So I was like, man. And then I'm like, yeah, Chuck from Mount Airy was there. I'm like, Chuck, it's Devon Givens, and he went nuts because he's a big fan of you too. So
yeah,
that was fun. All right, well, we'll get back in some 950, 975 stuff, but God, we're here again. And news came out, and I actually texted my buddy Dr. Rob to be like, all right, so it's a torn lateral meniscus, which is what's being reported. It's not an ACL. It's not
well,
an
it's
MCL.
not torn. It's not reported as torn. That was a mistake from Shams, who said torn, and it's not torn yet. That's not how they reported it.
So it's not torn now, because I mean,
right.
What the last thing I saw was that said it was was it a torn lateral meniscus? Or not torn,
yeah.
But it said that he's going to be out through the weekend until they figure out what they're going to do, more or less.
Right. Yeah. So and Shams already took that tweet down. That's why I wanted to make sure you didn't say what he said, because he was wrong. Okay. It's a meniscus injury right now that, as you said, they're going to reevaluate over the next couple of weeks and see where he is. And the tough part, as you said, Johnny, man, is we've been here before. 2017. And again, in a few years ago when he had the injury as well, and having to deal with this meniscus. And you're talking about somebody who's 7'2", 300 pounds playing on this, and the type of stuff that he has to go through. You talked to Dr. Rob about, everything, and I can't wait to hear what he had to say about this. But the weight that he carries, the pounding that he takes, and think about this too, Johnny, with the knee injuries and the leg injuries, the lower body injuries that he's had. This is why it's good for him to play in the mid post the way that he plays. It's less pounding on his lower body to do what most big men do on the lower block, when they are only relegated to doing that because they can't do the other stuff that he does. Now, it's unfortunate that we're here again. It's something that I hope that they sit out and take their time and figure this out. What's the best possible pathway for him and this team, because the season was going so well, man, so well. And yeah, as you said, here we are again, and it's a shame that we have to deal with this all over again.
So Dr. Rob, who is he's a pain management specialist now, but he's done a lot of orthopedic work and sports injuries and things like that. He says, depending on how much pain and instability he has, 4 to 6 weeks of recovery. And again, he hasn't examined him. He hasn't seen his MRI. So he's going based on not knowing exactly what the injury is. It feels like to me a couple week injury. And honestly, Devon, if they can, and I think they have enough talent, and they can win plenty of ball games without Joel in there on the short term or the medium term there. But is this the worst thing? So if you go, let's just go 6 weeks, right? So we just started February, so it's all February, and now you got half of March. The playoffs start April 20th, not the play-in, but they start April 20th. The regular playoffs do. So that would give him about a month if he did miss 6 weeks to get back into game shape, to get into shape, and he's not going to win the MVP this year with the new rules. That's obvious. But, this could end up being a blessing in disguise, getting him out and getting him off his feet for so long. Is there any part of you that feels that way?
I haven't really looked at it that way, just because of the immediate impact of it all. It's so bad. Don't want to panic too much just because we don't know the full extent as of yet. But to your point, when you do look at it that way, and you talk about getting him off his legs for a little bit, it's something that we did talk about, actually, Johnny, where the best playoff performance that he had consistently was the bubble, because he had a few months off after the season ended on March 11th. They didn't play again until July, or somewhere around there. So he had a couple of months off to rest his legs. And so, to your point, if you look at it that way, yes, having a few months off, or having a few weeks off, not putting any pressure on that leg, it might be a blessing in disguise. And that way, if to your point and to the doctor's point, he can sustain it and still play, the pain tolerance, whatever it is good enough for him and them to get through a couple of weeks here from April to June, if they're lucky enough to get to the NBA Finals, where he's effective enough to be able to play at a high level. It may not be MVP 35 and 10 level, but maybe 28 and 10 level, still play solid defense, and still be a threat where they have to defend him. They can't shade off of him because they know how much he can go off, especially in that mid post area where he can go nuts. So maybe if we get good returns and find out that there's some good news in the 4 to 6 weeks, to your point, doesn't maybe have to have that surgery, but can get back for the postseason and still be effective playing on it, then yeah, I can buy into that if that is the case, because you do have Tyrese Maxey named the first-time All-Star tonight.
Yes.
Which is not at all surprising with the season that he's had. Congratulations to him. Tobias Harris in that number 2 role, he's not guessing anymore. He knows how many touches he's getting, how many shots he's getting on any given night. And if they do tweak the roster a bit a week from today, this Thursday, at the trade deadline, then maybe they do something where, to your point, they don't fall out of the top 6. They may not get into that 7 to 10 for the play-in. And Derek asked at the end of our emergency, and I ask you this, could you imagine them being a play-in 8 seed, having to play the Boston Celtics in round number 1, even with Embiid coming back? It's crazy, right?
Well, I mean, that's a scenario that I don't want to see. That's for sure. All right, so there's so many different things to go. So let's go here. So it's not related to the injury, right? Like they were monitoring him. He looked gimpy against the Pacers, so he came out in warmups and following game, and he said, "No, like we can't put him out there against Denver." He went out. He tried to go for Denver. He was pulled, and then a big thing was made about it. It's like, oh, well, he's ducking Jokic, and he didn't play again, and everything else. This is a separate injury, so this is not related to that injury. Why he was held out of that game? Is that correct?
Oh, it appears that it's not related at all. It's a totally different injury, and it's unfortunate that this one came out the way that it did. It didn't help either, being in it towards the end of the game against Golden State, and when Jonathan Kuminga is diving for that loose ball, lands directly on his legs. That didn't help at all.
Short term, how confident are you that, because when you look at the upcoming schedule before the All-Star break, I just looked at the next 4, and by the way, they're still very good at home.
Yes.
And they've lost the last 4. This was them not playing or being gimpy. These are all on the road.
So and Maxey out also.
Yes. Yeah. Maxey and Tobias Harris out of the one game. So Maxey missed 3 in a row. All right. So you have at the Jazz, then you come home. Brooklyn, all at home. Brooklyn, Dallas, Golden State, and then the Hawks. And then you have a couple of games before the All-Star break. So you slid a little bit right here, but these 4 home games, this is just a different team at home. How much confidence do you have that this team with B-Ball Paul, we saw B-Ball Paul, no Embiid, 30 points out of B-Ball Paul, 13 rebounds. How confident are you that this team can sustain some success and not lose a lot of grounds without Embiid?
I would feel better in saying confident if I knew what the health looked like for DeAnthony Melton. A big part of the starting lineup in the backcourt with Maxey and the defense on the perimeter as well. If I knew with Marcus Morris, with his situation, what he looked like in terms of his health, because you're going to need depth now, Johnny, going forward with Embiid out. You're going to need all hands on deck. Maxey, the coverage, the defense is going to change now, where everything is loaded towards him. They're going to try to get the ball out of his hands. We saw that against the Indiana Pacers last Friday, where they were blitzing him, and he was having to get the ball up very early to his teammates and try to find ways to score without the ball in his hands. And with no DeAnthony Melton, another ball handler out on the floor, it looks a little tricky because of that. But now Nick Nurse is going to have a time with his coaching staff and his personnel to figure out a different style of play without Embiid on the floor. There are a lot of Sixer fans who like the way they play anyway when Embiid is not on the floor, because there's more ball movement, there's more cutting off of the ball. There's a different type of flow with the offense that they're running out there without the big fella, where you have to demand those touches. So I'm going to be very curious and kind of reserve my judgment there, Johnny, just because I want to see where Melton is, where Marcus Morris is to that extent. But with the new coach, the way that, to what you said, Paul Reed playing the way that he did, that gives you a little confidence, maybe a little hope that while he's not going to give you 30, maybe he can give you 15 and 10 every night. Maybe he can give you 13 and 10 every night and just a hustle overall. Can Mo Bamba play at a different level, getting primary backup minutes behind Paul Reed? This is without knowing what they're going to do by next Thursday in the trade deadline, because they're going to be Saturday's game and 2 games before the trade deadline to see those guys out there on the floor and see what they do. But I do think with Nick Nurse, the confidence that I have in him and adjusting the style of play with this team, that they will not be a team where we're looking at them losing 8 games in a row. They're going to win their fair share of games, to your point, at home, maybe against some of those lesser opponents like the Atlanta Hawks, on the road, where they can still keep their head above water until we really, really know that Embiid's going to be out this long. He's going to come back at this time, but we're still in the mix.
Doesn't seem like Daryl Morey's MO is to, with the trade deadline coming up, is to freak out and go out and make a move, because Embiid, like it said, this is hopefully going to be a couple week injury. And even so, if you were losing for the season, I don't think you go out and you go star hunting, because and this is the NBA. This isn't some of these other sports where like, well, we got to replace it. Like if you don't have Embiid, you're not winning a title unless you're somehow making a trade that I don't foresee. But do you see them being active at the trade deadline, and how active, right? Like we've heard a lot of the star hunting. You have Tobias Harris's expiring deal. You have draft picks in the future now that you can deal. To me, I like the chemistry of this team. I don't know if I need to be adding somebody else that's going to need touches, like you had said with Tobias. He knows what his role, and he's really thriving in it. But where do you think their level of interest will be at the trade deadline coming up here?
I still think they're going to be active. Nothing changes. You mentioned Daryl Morey's not going to panic, but it's not going to change what he was thinking. So if he's going to go out there and tweak around the margins with some of the lesser names, but it still fits, and they're going to be role players for the rotation that Nurse is going to look to have once the postseason gets here, he's still going to look to those. And remember this too, Johnny, with the summer being what the summer we're going to be, with all the money and the available, go out there and maybe attract some free agents during free agency, even with Tobias Harris off the books. That also was a part of the trade deadline, because of those assets that you have. Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, those draft picks. So if a name was available that Daryl Morey liked and felt it fit this team with a healthy Embiid, and right now with an unhealthy Embiid, I don't think he would hesitate to go out there and do it. So I do think they're going to make a move, or maybe make a move or two, or 2 players in one deal. I do think they're going to do something. I don't think the injury right now to Embiid changes things all that much. It changes it for us with how we look at it, but I still think that their approach, because of the trade deadline and the free agency in the offseason, is still aligned, that I still think he does something by next Thursday.
Is Nick Nurse a difference maker to you based on what you've seen? And I mean, we're not even at the All-Star break yet, but they're just, and I kind of felt like this last year too. And then it's like, no, they actually were right there with the Celtics in that series. I mean, damn.
They should have won the series, Johnny.
They should have won the series.
Game 6.
I know. But like, it felt different last year to me. It did. Like, it felt different. The guys felt different. It felt like everybody was pulling in the same direction. And ultimately, I don't know how much of it's Doc or whatever, but he's gone. But does Nick Nurse feel like a difference maker to you, to where Doc Rivers felt like the difference maker in the reverse direction?
I will say this before we get to the Nurse part, and it's not like I'm championing Doc Rivers with the Milwaukee Bucks and how much he's going to make a difference there. Remember, when guys were out, when he had to coach differently because of Harden being out or Embiid being out, remember those he got up for those games where coaches talk about, now I really have to coach because I'm without my star player. So to your point, they played well then. And I think Nurse is a better coach than Doc Rivers, and for what Rivers did here. So, yes, I do think he's a difference maker. I think he's done some really good things this year. Of course, we can pick at some of the things that he has done this year also and say, you could have done some things a little differently in this situation. But, yeah, I do think he's a difference maker. And that's why I said it earlier. I'm very curious to see how he changes the style of play now, because it was a lot of dribble handoff, center at the top of the key there, also working some things there through Joel Embiid. There's no Paul Reed's not going to be at the center of the offense at the free throw extended area, catching passes and turning around, facing up and doing it. He's going to catch maybe some roll opportunities, some pick and pop opportunities from about 15 to 17. We saw them make them against Denver. But I do think that Nick Nurse, as good of a coach as he is, he's gonna have some different wrinkles here that I do think that's going to help them out. And to your point, again, be a difference maker.
I want to celebrate Tyrese Maxey in a second, but
sure.
I can't kind of put a bow tie on the Embiid stuff before we move on without saying, like, it just feels like it's never gonna work out, right? Like he's such an amazing talent, and he's playing even better this year than he was playing last year. But like, just when you start feeling good about it, and here's the other thing, he was catching a lot of heat because like he should have been playing. He was going for the streak, and that's why he's staying in the game and he's seeing these extended minutes when he should have been out of the game because he cares about the streak. But then he's soft when he doesn't play against Denver because he's always injured. So it's like either way he's getting screwed or either way he's getting criticized for it. But man, like there's got to be a year where things just work out for this team and things just work out for this guy. Devon, he's too great of a talent. I've never seen a bigger talent in my lifetime in the city of Philadelphia in sports. There's been better players, right? There's been more accomplished players. I've never seen a bigger talent. Like, this is the guy where when we see other guys in other cities play and we say, God, I want that guy on my team. That's Joel Embiid.
That is.
And man, he's played like that this year.
And you know what, man? When they were blowing teams out and he's missing fourth quarters, but still hitting that 30-point number, right? He was still reaching his average in, I don't know, 20, 28 minutes. And Kevin Durant is tweeting out, man, Joel only needs, 34 minutes to get whatever number that he gets. Yeah. And not playing the fourth quarter. You're right, man. That's where it was. That's where we were looking at things and saying, like last year, wow, this is different. This one's going to be different, right? And then all of a sudden it changes just like that. It changes in 1 week where they were 29 and 13 at one point, or whatever they were, 28 and 13. They're now 29 and 16, 17 for what they were doing. And things changed that fast. And that's all we wanted, man. We thought this one was going to get you there, and he's not playing as many minutes, John. There was a point where his points were higher than his minutes played this season, right?
It's almost impossible.
Right. So that's how good he was, and that's how little minutes he was playing. And sure, he was out there sometimes, like the Knicks game. He shouldn't have been out there to continue that 30-10 streak and things like that. Maybe even coming back and dropping the 70 in the game that he did, where he had 59 after three quarters. San Antonio wasn't going to beat them. They were hanging around, but they weren't going to beat him. But they were preserving him the right way. He was playing the full 12 in the first quarter. He would sit at the start of the second, come back at the 7-minute mark, destroy teams with the 12 that he played in the third, and that's it for the night, right? Yeah, so he wasn't doing too much, and now here we are. So we can't have nice things. Hopefully the Sixers get good news. Hopefully he gets good news, and this thing changes where we're talking about it totally differently in a few weeks.
All right, Tyrese Maxey named to his first All-Star team. Just you got to fly? What's going on over there?
I'm like, yo, we're not supposed to have flies this time of the year, but I got a fly in here. But anyway, we'll keep going. This is live, folks.
Tyrese Maxey, I saw and I knew it was coming out, but I still get the emails from the 76ers.
From the team,
yeah, from the team. So I saw I don't even know when I can't even find it right now. But yeah, Tyrese Maxey, listen, no surprise.
No.
And let me just say this. I thought I would say he's a Lou Williams type. And when I said that, it was a compliment because I was a huge Lou Williams fan, always was when they drafted him. And he talk about more points than minutes. Sometimes even later in his career, Lou, he played 22, 23 minutes. Man, he'd get 20 shots off in those minutes, and he would shoot threes from 30 feet, and he'd make it. Tyrese Maxey's better than Lou Williams. Tyrese Maxey is a star.
Yeah.
And is he good enough to pair with Embiid, and they can be 1-2, and then you need everybody else around them. You just now need everybody else to fit. Is he a good enough number 2 star?
Yes. And that's a guaranteed yes in the regular season because we've seen it. The question now going forward is that the case for the postseason? But yeah, the strides that he's made, John, since 2020, drafted during the COVID year. If you remember, he was drafted in October, November, whatever that draft was that year. Didn't have an NCAA tournament. Didn't have an opportunity to play a lot his rookie year. He had a head coach who doesn't like to play young players. Eventually did it. he has turned himself into this type of player where it's amazing that in year 4, he's an all-star. Amazing.
Yeah. How good can he be? Like, are we seeing, like you said, year 4, and ultimately it's going to be, he's going to score plenty of points, and it's going to be how much can he win, the success the team has. But are we seeing around the level of player that he is, or does he have it even more? I mean, I
think he has more.
The kid's really good.
I think he has more because we're seeing right now where he's averaging 26 points a game. The assist numbers are up, the rebounding as well. We know about the shooting now. At this point, it's not fake. It's real because we've seen it now consecutively as he's grown and gotten better. And the reason why I say is because we know he can score. We know he can shoot. John, I think he can get better as a point guard. He's not a pure point guard yet in the NBA. He's a point guard who is playing with Joel Embiid, and he's finding different guys where his numbers are going to be pretty good. But I think as he continues to grow and seeing different things, and now at this point where he's going to be the number 1 option, he's going to see different coverages. He now has to figure that out. How do I navigate now where I know I can score 26, but is that going to win us a game? Now I need to jump my assist numbers, maybe I need to jump my scoring numbers up. So I think there's a level of which we haven't seen the best of Tyrese Maxey after year number 4. Look at where he's gone, man, from the low number of points he was averaging as a young player, first year, second year, being in a big spot in game 6 in 2021 against the Atlanta Hawks on the road, where the Sixers are facing the elimination as the number 1 seed. He helps them pull through. Comes back the next year. He's starting because Ben Simmons is not playing at the start of the season. He's playing really well. He adjusts his style of play again because James Harden is now added at the trade deadline. And then he comes back this year. James Harden leaves, and this guy, all he does is come in again and average 26. He hit 50 already this year. Yeah. So we know he can score. Now it's the improvement as a point guard to go along with the scoring and continue to get better as a defender, where he's not a negative, he's not being targeted as much as he was in the past on the defensive end. So I think he can get even better than he's already shown us. Johnny's beginning of the year while they were rolling and Embiid is number 1, number 2 in the MVP ladder, Tyrese Maxey was in the top 10 with him. So that's why I say this guy is only going to get better.
I guess Charles Barkley had said on TNT, the Sixers are now a lottery team. Do you agree with that assessment?
No, I think it's unfair to say that because we don't know we don't know how long he's going to be out. And when he comes back, they're probably still going to make the playoffs. And then to the point that we were talking earlier, is Daryl Morey going to make a move next Thursday that is going to keep them afloat, where they're not going to fall all the way back, where they're going to wind up being a lottery team, like Charles Barkley said.
Well, I mean, and also this is where guys got to step up, right? Like a lot of times you see it with, it's tough with the backup quarterback thing because quarterback play is it means a lot, obviously, to the games, but you see it with goalies in hockey and things like that. Backup quarterbacks, backup goalie, guys come in, they step up, and guys also realize that, like, hey, now it's my time to get more shots. Tobias Harris. Yeah, Tobias Harris realizes, hey, I need my scoring. So guys got to step up. So this is the opportunity, like you had said, when it beats out, guys like playing. They get more shots. They get more opportunities. It looks different. It feels fresh. Fans enjoy it because it's different. It's something different to watch. So I actually think this team's going to be fine. Now, depending. We'll see how long Embiid's out, and hopefully it's not going to be a long time. I think this team can keep pace. And now you're looking at the final month of the season to kind of make that push to help your seeding in the Eastern Conference to try to get a better series.
Yeah, look at Harris and what he was doing. What was that, about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, where he went on that stretch of that tear where he had that 33, then he had 29, 27, something like that, 25, 22. He was playing really well, and he was being aggressive. He wasn't worried about his teammates. I'm not saying that negatively. We want him to take the ball away sometimes when he's rolling like that. So I think that Tobias Harris has an opportunity to get the shots that he wants, be a feature in this offense, and let's see what he does with it. And if he does some good things with it, the defense holds up, Maxey is still able to get some decent numbers out there on any given night, then yeah, I think they avoid being a lottery team.
Maxey, he's good to go as far as the injury I mean,
Yeah,
it's not.
he's in tonight. He's
Yeah.
as at least as of right now, he's not ruled out. I haven't checked since we've been on, but it looked like he was good to go to be in for the game tonight.
They're going to need him. That's for sure. All right,
Big time.
Devon Givens, now formerly a 97.5 The Fanatic. How many years were you at The Fanatic, Devon?
Total of 16 years. When you and I first met, as I was an intern, so that was 16 years there. And as I talked to you, I talked to Joe DeCamera, talked to a lot of people. I'm like, I think Joe was the one that said to me, he was like, yo, you beat all of us in
Yep.
terms of years eventually at the Fanatic. So 16 years.
Yeah, there were people before you, but as far as tenure at the Fanatic, yeah, you lasted longer than all of us. Because Harry was before. Harry and DeCamera were before me. You're the only two before me. And then I left in 2016. I was gone. And then you were, so you were, I guess, September of 23. Is that when? August?
September, technically September of 23. Yeah.
All right. Difficult decision to leave, easy decision. Take me through your process.
Yeah, it was very difficult. Thought about it for a long time, thought about long and hard about, is this the right thing to do? And, I felt like, as we just talked about, being there for so long, it was like whenever I say my own name, I think of the Fanatic. I don't think of anything else. Yes, I did the pre and post and stuff with the Sixers and all of that, but when it all came down to it, it was, the Fanatic, and Devon Givens synonymous with the Fanatic. So it was a very difficult decision. It was very hard because, as you know, like you said at the very top, same goes for me. I like everybody, and we build these relationships, and I built those relationships with the people at the station, and it was very hard to leave them, not talking to people on the phones anymore, thinking about that, the relationships you build through those people as well. Doing what I did the last couple of years at night, I always talked about it as we were a family. We were friends, we were family. And that's why our conversations were as good as they were on a nightly basis for as long as we were doing those. And that's where it was difficult, man. Just being in that one place for a long time, establishing something with the station at night, with the basketball stuff, some Eagles things as well. It wasn't easy. And felt like there was some more things that were left to do, potentially to do there. But once this opportunity came, as I said, I thought about it a long time, talked to family, talked to friends. And in the end, I made the decision that I did make.
Well, listen, I tried to poach you a number of times. I talked to you. I said, listen, everybody agrees. Everybody here, and I was talking about Ike and me and Jack and whoever else, and Joe DeCamera. We all loved you. I talked to you on multiple occasions, like, hey, listen, I know you're a host now. You transitioned from being a producer. I remember you were working with Seth Joyner. Was really when you became a full-time host, right? I just remember.
Oh, you remember that? Yeah.
I remember talking to you and being like, you have a great opportunity right now. So I know you're not good. I think there was was it the nighttime producer job that was opening up? I think it was because before Jack took the job working with Joe Giglio, when I was working nights. So this is right when I started at WIP.
Yeah.
So it's like the nighttime producer left, and I was like, hey, you're the first name I thought of. And I'm like, well, he's probably not going to come because he's doing more hosting than producing these days.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I remember.
And you were working with Seth. You were doing like a Monday night show with Seth. Mm-hmm. And from there, man, you just took off because you went from being, Devon, who was a producer / host, and he would work some nights and do whatever, to where you became the night guy. You became the 76ers guy, pre and post. You became the guy. And I agree with you. The thing that's difficult, and the thing that was most difficult for me in leaving WIP was the audience and was the coworkers. Was Ike, was Jack, was Rod Lakin, the brand manager, people in sales, people behind the scenes. You know this. You work at the Fanatic, Tony Perrone, and everybody else that has worked there forever. There's
Rhonda, right?
Rhonda, Hibbler, great people. Yeah, I miss them too. I still miss them. It was hard when I left in 2016. I still miss them. And Rhonda sends me a Christmas card every year. Tony Perrone, I text message with her occasionally or whatever. And So I still stay in touch with a lot of people, but you don't see them on a daily basis, which is difficult. And then you mentioned the audience and the phone calls, right? Like and I've actually had some callers on the show here, and I'm going to keep having callers on the show here just because they become such a big part of your life.
Yeah.
Whether you ever meet them or not, just being there to talk to people on a nightly basis, and you did it for a number of years working nights, it's difficult because now you're doing this, which is great. We'll talk about your new gig coming up here, but there's not the phone calls that you would take on sports radio.
Yeah, and one of the guys, I saw something pop up from Rich P, and Rich was one of our guys too.
He was our intern.
Then he became a caller, and he would come to different things. And he talked about In the Post, where I would do the post game show after Sixers games, and that became a thing. And people, I still get it now, where people are like, yo, I miss you not being on after the game. And of course, I tell them where I am, and they can still tap in that way, just not on 97.5 the dial. You can still listen in your car while you're driving home. But it was difficult, man. And you talked about it. I had good relationships. I felt great with Chuck D'Amico. I had good relationship with our big boss, Joe Bell. I was good with all of our guys. It was just one of those stages of my life and my career where it made me think, and my decision ultimately became what it was. But I still talk to our people. I still talk to our friends. I miss everybody. We still do reach out. I still do have lunch with our guys, people that I left, and it's not going to stop. It's just, I was used to being in that building for 16 years. It became a part of my daily routine, whether I was super busy at night where I stopped at 10 o'clock or I was going until midnight, 1 o'clock. It was a routine for me, saying hi to Miss Rhonda, walking in her office in her studio and talking to her for a while, going back to the salespeople, checking in with Chuck, and sitting there before the show and discussing different things. And again, that's what made it hard. And then when it came to the callers, man, you said you don't meet them all, but you feel like you know them. And you talk to so many
and they
people.
Know you. And
they know you.
Yeah,
and when you pull them in and you make them feel comfortable like they are family, they come back for you. And there have been plenty of them because, my way of doing the show was different from a lot of people, right? And with my way, there were many people who, like I said, who didn't necessarily like my show. But then I would get messages later that said, you know what? I didn't like your show, but I got an opportunity to listen, and I understood where you were coming from. You made me think differently about different things. And now I can't not tune in every night. And I appreciated that because, as you know, I wasn't going to change my style. I wasn't somebody who was always a yeller or a screamer. I did it my way. I did it. And I hope that will work for people. And I hope that drew people in. Some people thought it was boring, but I wasn't going to stop being who I was with how my delivery was with the show that I was looking to put on. So that stuff I miss, man. I miss talking to the people. I miss talking to everybody before the show, seeing our coworkers in the building. That stuff I absolutely miss. I see Scotty, our buddy Scotty in there. Look at that.
What's up, Scott? Good to see you, buddy. All right, so Mickey Durkin asked, and the hell with the 97.5 The Fanatic now. Let's talk about you and your new gig. So tell us what your schedule is, and you're working with Kyle Neubeck. Listen, you're working with the best. All due respect to everybody else out there, you're working with the best basketball guys in the city. Now with the three of you, I think you guys would be 1, 2, and 3 as far as Sixers guys in the city. So you do post game tonight. So you do post game 76ers show. So you do a live show, and then you do the 1 hour podcast every day. Tell us how you guys work it.
Yeah. So let's start with non-game days. So non-game days, our schedule is 2:30 every day. You try to, like you said, you wanted to let everybody know that you're going to be there Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. so everybody can get used to it. So that's what we did. 2:30, even before I started because of my hiatus.
You had to wait a little bit.
I did. And they established the 2:30 start time on the non-game days. And that's where people expect us to be every day, non-game days, 2:30. So that's what we do there. On game days, we are about 15 to 30 minutes after the game ends. So as an example of the Denver game, 5:30 this weekend, it was over about 7:45. We got on about 8 o'clock. The guys did. I was a little under the weather, so they jumped on at 8 o'clock. Martin Luther King Day game, 1 o'clock. Game is over at about what 3:15. So
Right.
with that, about 3:30, we're jumping on to do the show. So a night like tonight, a late night, or a regular night when it's done at 9:15, we're on hopefully around 9:30, 9:35. So that's what we do. That's how we lay it out. 9 game days, 2:30 every day. Game days about 15 to 30 minutes after the final horn for the Sixers, win or lose. So that's what we do. So tonight, because we had an emergency podcast, Johnny, because of the Embiid news, we're only going to do about 15, 20, 25 minutes tonight.
And then get out.
And then get out, just because we kind of fulfilled our obligation for the day, but we still want to give a post game because they are playing.
So how do people watch it? And is this available in a podcast form? How do people catch it that maybe know you're doing it or they want to check it out?
So podcast first, it's available immediately after we're done. It'll take our producer is great, Brianna. She's fantastic. So she gets this show up very quickly. So it's available wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you get them. So wherever you look for your podcast, you go get them. It's a PHLY Sixers. So, and once you look that up, you'll find it and you can go right to that wherever you get your podcast. As far as the YouTube, that's the live show. So if you tap in PHLY Sports on YouTube, go right to YouTube, PHLY Sports. You'll find us. You can go from the Eagles, the Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, Union, etc., to find what you're looking for. So when we're ready, it'll have it up there before the 2:30 start to let everybody know, hey, we're upcoming. Start time 2:30 right there on YouTube. You can jump in live in the moment. If you're a little bit behind, you can jump in right there, or you can restart it from the very beginning, kind of catch up. You can comment during the show on YouTube. So we have a lot of people who, again, John, are used to us being there. So we have our regulars, like our phone calls that we would get, our callers. We have our regulars and YouTube, and they line up and they jump in. Sometimes the beautiful part is they'll even generate a conversation just like it would on the phone line because of a comment that they make. So you can find us PHLY Sports on YouTube. And if you're listening to a post game on the way home and you want to listen in the car because you're saying, Devon, I wanted to hear it in the post, but you're not there. Well, you can just simply pull it up there, link it up to your car, because that's what things are right now with technology in your car and your phone. And you got us right there for your post game. And we typically do about an hour for our post game. Sometimes we go a little longer. Sometimes after a bad game where they look terrible, and it may only require 45 to 50, but we definitely get 45 on up as far as the length of the show.
Yeah, and there's also a written component to it that Derek and Kyle both do, and the also the of all the sports, right? Like you have Charlie O'Connor that does the Flyers. I know Zach and Bo both write from that. You guys have, I mean, really got it covered. It's one of my first stops every morning, or even sometimes the 2:30 bathroom break in the morning when I wake up inevitably to have to go to the bathroom. And I'm sure you're there too. Are you dyeing your beard? Because there's no way that's natural.
No, I have the grays that are trying to creep in, but I don't dye. And mine doesn't grow as much as yours does, as thick as yours. So mine is relatively light, and keep it in.
I'm almost all white, dude. I've gotten the point where the only thing that's not white is the mustache and like half of the goatee.
I noticed that. And that happened pretty fast, man, because you were hanging in there, man. You were hanging in there.
You see the picture I posted with YouTube?
No, which one?
So
yeah. I did see that one. Yeah.
Did you see it? I should have I should have had it to share right here. I'm gonna try to do it real fast. So we were doing a knockout tournament for the Fanatic every year. I don't know if they still do it, but Matt Nahigian came up with the idea after the 76er game. The old brand manager of the Fanatic said, after the 76er game, let's play knockout on the court, and we'll get a bunch of listeners to come down and they'll win spots or whatever. Remember the one year Arthur, the criminal Arthur, was there for knockout?
The criminal.
Well, he's in prison right now. So yes.
Is he really?
Yes, he's in prison. He moved out to Arizona. He moved out to Arizona, and they know who he is, so he just keeps getting arrested over and over in prison.
Okay.
But anyway. It was amazing. They were doing it every year, but the picture I took was Monet the year. What year was that? 2014?
She was still in high school. I think she was a junior at that time, maybe. She might have even been in high school at that point. Uh, yeah, Mo, she was might be about 14, 15, something like
But
that.
it
Yeah.
was after the Tandy run. So we're talking about Monet
Hmm.
Davis, who's your cousin, if our
Hmm.
memory serves me correct. Yeah. So she was
Yep.
still coming off of, wasn't that long removed from the Taney run
Yeah.
that they had. She's still
Yeah. Do you
obviously
remember?
recognizable here.
I know, yeah, it's crazy. Do you remember when afterwards, I think she and I had a shootout.
I do.
Yeah, we had a shootout. And I think she beat me too, because yeah, she beat me. Yeah, it was what it was. But it's okay.
Nothing to be ashamed about.
No,
With
no.
Well, there was the one year
No.
that we were playing. We actually started playing like a 3-on-3 or a 4-on-4
You
half
remember?
court.
In like jeans and stuff.
And
Yeah.
Pat Gallen was wearing like slippers, and he kept
Yeah.
sliding all over the floor. And the camera he was like Tyrone Hill out there. How much he was playing, and he was just sucking up the post.
And Pat Egan was mad because they decided to stick him on me. And he was pissed off afterwards because he said, "You decided to put me on the best guy out here and I'm getting cooked." So, yeah, that was fun, man. We had some good times.
It was really good times.
Yeah, we had some good times.
Well, listen, I know you have the game starting up here. I want to let you
Hmm.
get ready for it. Really, congratulations. I'm If I would have been in charge of the Fanatic for many years, I always said this, and I said this to Harry, I don't know how many times, and Jason so many times. I'm like, no one's given it's, and you always used to say this. You'd be like, I just stay out. I stay out everybody's hair. I come in, I do my show, and I'll be like,
Yep.
well, listen, like, don't stay out, like, be in their hair. But like,
Yeah.
you like coming in, doing your show, going about your business. But I always felt like you were never utilized correctly at the Fanatic, because likability is
Yeah.
such a big thing. And I saw a bunch of people in the comments saying this too, and it's right. Like, you have humility, you have class. You're like, you don't have a big ego. You don't take yourself too seriously. You can't take yourself too seriously, dude. We're talking about sports. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We're the luckiest people in the world. Like, why am I gonna have this big ego about stuff?
Yeah.
But like, I always appreciated that about you, and the audience loved you. And they never utilized you in any role other than, it's like, well, yeah, Devon's got pre and post, and he's got nights, and we never have to worry about that. Man, I would have had you in a major day part if I was running the Fanatic. So you're lucky, because you'd still be in terrestrial radio if I was running the Fanatic. You wouldn't be at this great gig now.
Yeah,
So
it's funny. People, everybody who's watching, John is right. He would say no, because my thing was always, I just stay out of the way. I just do my thing. I've established things what I'm doing at night. I stay out of the way. I don't bother anybody. They don't bother me. But John, Harry Mays, uh, Joe DeCamera, and Mike Missinelli would always be on me like, no, no. And it worked out the way it worked out. And I did establish the stuff
do it
at
at
night,
your,
and
like you
doing it
said.
my way, and I had fun doing it. And I enjoyed when I was on during the day. I'm not going to lie and say that we all strive to be on a day part, Monday through Friday. We all did, and I'm no different. Uh, and I enjoyed my time when I would jump on there, and I would always get great feedback, good interaction with the people. It was always fun, always fun. So, yeah, folks, he's not lying. Johnny would always say, like, no, make noise. And
But now look at you, man. Congratulations. So happy for you.
thank you, man. And for the people, Johnny's legit. We are friends. We are family, and he knows my family. I know his family, and
Yeah, Devon's at my wedding.
we are who we are. And this is my guy from the very beginning. Never changed when he left, and it always meant something to me. So I hope everybody make sure Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. that you tapped in here. Great guests, great stuff. I saw you had Black Gritty on here a couple of times.
Oh yeah, Herb from
I said,
Northeast Philly. Yeah, only
I
the
saw
top.
her. Black Gritty is so cool. His niece, his daughter, became my niece in a sense.
Oh,
she's the best.
she is awesome. She is
She's the
she's a
best.
killer wrestler. She kicks everybody's ass.
Yeah,
Black
she's the
Gritty.
best. Herb, I miss her seeing him at the arena, but I'll be back in the arena now a little bit more for the second half of the season. now
Yeah,
that I have
gotcha.
an opportunity to get in there. So I'll see Herb and he'll talk to me and I can't walk away. Talk to me and I can't walk away because he won't let me. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, you just kind of got to try to do it, right? Like I
Yeah.
could text him right now and he would call me back within 5 seconds of the text message. I'm not going to do that right now. All right,
Yeah.
so you see Devon's social media handles. So that's X or Twitter. I know it's
It's
different
Twitter.
on
Forget all that.
Instagram.
It's, yeah.
Follow
Yeah.
him there, and also follow. And you said podcasts. If you're like, oh, well, I don't really watch the shows or whatever, so podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, search PHLY,
LY. Yep.
and you'll find it.
PHLY. Sports on YouTube, PHLY Sixers, if you're looking specifically for that, wherever you find your podcast. And we are there. We're available. Go ahead, jump in there, listen, give us a listen. Reach out on social media. Let us know what you think. And see what you guys think. Hope you like it. It's been fun. It's been really fun to do this in a different format than the terrestrial radio that both Johnny and I just stepped away from. So this is a different way. It's fun.
It's a different challenge.
And can still interact too. And this is where things are going also a little bit. So it's fun.
Yep. All right. Get to work. All right.
Get to work. I will. Thanks, man.
Get to work. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you.
All right.
All right. There he is, Devon Givens. We'll stick around here for a couple minutes. He is I started sports radio in 2006, and really, well, no, I was producing and hosting and doing updates, and I'm talking about sports radio, pretty much right away. And Devon wasn't long after that, and there's something about the people that because I get a lot of people that say to me, they'll email me, they'll Instagram me, whatever, they'll see me and they'll be like, I listened to you with Mike Miss. I loved you with Mike Miss. Like that's when they first remember who was Mike Miss. And it's always special when I hear from those people, because a lot of people, when I went to WIP, maybe they heard of me, but they never listened to me. You know what I mean? And going to WIP, now people that weren't Fanatic people, they were hardcore WIP people. Now they know me like the Fanatic people knew me. But I still get a lot of the listening with Mike Miss. But I get occasional when 950 before we went FM, when Devon was there, Jody Cameron was there, Jody Mack was the original show, the original drive time show there. Mike Miss came in 2008, but the original 950 before Mike came, I'll still get a lot of people like Len in Swedesboro that's followed me everywhere that I've went. I made him my insurance guy, JMs. He used to call in as Jay from Willow Grove. I still have, there's a handful of guys that I remember calling me back in 2006. The Mike Miss people, when they reach out, it's awesome. But the people that listen to me when I worked with Glenn Foley and Michael Bradley and Greg Henson before that. So it's always fun when I bring on my old friends from radio. So the 76ers start coming up at 10 o'clock. A lot of rumblings this week with the we'll end on this. A lot of rumblings this week with the Eagles and AJ Brown, and now there's been this, they're going to trade AJ Brown or whatever. I don't know exactly how it started, because I've been off the radar of kind of the day-to-day goings of sports radio. I can only assume that this is how it went. And then, WIP gets blamed and says, oh, WIP, they're the worst. They're trying to trade AJ Brown. So like my best guess is that just there's conversations that are going on. And, like, would you trade AJ Brown? Because, by the way, like, wasn't there a lot of concern that there's an issue with the quarterback and the wide receiver in the locker room, including from me? I don't believe that those two were okay this year. So is it that crazy to think that potentially AJ Brown would be traded? Did he scrub his freaking social media Eagles stuff? And then I'm going to hear it doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter that he does it. Every athlete that takes the social media stuff, takes pictures and removes it from the bio, guess what? That does mean something. This is how these guys communicate. What they do. So whether or not it ends up happening, he's doing that for a reason. Doesn't act like that AJ Brown. I know he was just on, he did some media. I know he was just on the K Adams or whatever. And I heard it. And I think he's going to get traded? No, I don't think he's going to get traded, but it's like crazy if he was a problem with the quarterback. So, I mean, I do know that Jack had said he would trade him for who was it? Patrick Surtain. We actually did the same thing with Devontae Smith when I hosted the show to say, would you do it? And here's why it's not stupid. And here's why it's not crazy. Howie Roseman, during that draft, was trying to trade up to get Surtain, and the Broncos wouldn't trade. This is where they got Devontae. Broncos wouldn't trade. They were trying to trade up to get him. They loved him. They wouldn't trade him. They wouldn't trade up to let him get him. They wanted to take him. And then if you remember, there was talk that the Eagles were sniffing around, or they were contacting the Broncos and saying, like, hey, would you consider trading him? This is just his last year. And then at the trade deadline, they were sniffing around with Jalen Johnson from the Bears, because he's an impending free agent, and there was rumors that he could be traded. Eagles are sniffing around. Eagles are in the market for a veteran corner, a younger veteran corner, not a guy that's 30 like they have right now. So I don't think it's nuts to think that they could potentially use a wide receiver chip. And here's the other thing. So you're paying 2 wide receivers $20 million each? It's not crazy to suggest that A.J. Brown could be traded. What are we doing? Why is this so crazy? Devontae Smith's going to make $20 million a year. He's going to want a new contract. I'm not saying that I would trade A.J. Brown or that you have to trade A.J. Brown. But can you really have 2 $20 million wide receivers when you could potentially get a Patrick Surtain? That's all I'm saying. It's not crazy. And WIP isn't the worst thing in the world. This is what we do as talk show hosts. They're barroom conversations. Like, hey, would you trade such for this? Would you trade A for B? Would you trade A.J. Brown for Patrick Surtain? So, like, it's good conversation. When people bitch about it and I see like, oh, look what WIP's doing again, that means it worked. For other people that want to say, oh, I won't listen to WIP, I get this guy that keeps Instagramming me, including me on Instagram, like tagging me on Instagram posts or whatever, hashtag ban WIP. I'm like, bro, I don't even work there anymore. Leave me alone. It's like, oh, you and Jack and Joe the camera. Gilio never gets mentioned by this guy. Why not Gilio? Why is he bugging me? I don't work there anymore. I'm not doing these takes. But like, come on, give me a break. Anyway, but it's like, so that's like the big story is that, oh, try to trade A.J. Brown, WIP, right? Like, shut up. So what? Wait, so you're not going to have corners and you're going to have 2-star wide receivers? Okay. But all right, whatever. There you go. Yeah, that's where we are with the Eagles right now. And then you get the rumor mill of Florio that is wasn't Florio. Who was it? That was Greg Bedard up in Boston. He writes for Boston Sports Journal. He was NFL Network. He was a national writer. He was pretty big at one point, and now he's covering locally Boston Sports Journal. And he had said that he had heard the Eagles down at the Senior Bowl by a couple people connected to Belichick as far as they were sniffing around, and it could be a potential spot for him in 2025. So he's not getting a job this offseason unless something majorly changes. So 2025, Bill Belichick, he'd be 73 years old then. They would have to be literally on the doorstep with nobody else to hire. Bill Belichick at 73 years old working with Howie Roseman. No, thank you. All right, you can see shopeverylittledetail.com. It's my wife's business, her website. And there's a lot of the sports shirts that are made out there. She doesn't really do as many as a lot of the other websites that make really, really good stuff. She does a lot of work with if for school cheerleading people. Like, it just kind of has happened where someone had saw her work and said, hey, can you design and make this cheer sweatshirt for my daughter and a couple of these cheerleaders on some like school or whatever. And she made it. And then like the whole team wanted it. And it's happened at multiple schools. So she makes custom made stuff. And for Valentine's Day, if you're like something for your wife, whatever it is, but there's also some good sports shirts there, including some Kelsey stuff there right now as well. So it's shopeverylittledetail.com for everything that she does right there. And again, people really comment right here, which is awesome on the stream. But also, if you're watching this, if you're not watching this live and you're just catching this on YouTube, throw a comment up there. I want to hear what people think about the show. So throw a comment on YouTube to what you think about the show, or just get involved in the discussion. I've had a couple of wise asses out there that are saying stuff to me, but I welcome everything, please. So I'd love your feedback. I have to now this weekend, the whole setup, because I'm actually gonna so Jason Bertitas said to me, like, hey, make sure get your setup ready before you start recording, before you start doing shows, get your setup ready, get a camera or whatever. So I got some of the equipment. My basement, and I wish I could turn around and show everybody this. My basement looks like that 3 girls from age 2 to 8 live in my basement, or their toys live in my basement. So there's literally, I have a nice finished basement. I sit at the bar, but there's nowhere else for me to go because there's shit everywhere. So, but I don't need to get something on this wall. I know where I need to go. I just need to move the stuff out of it. There's a Lego table and a foosball table. The foosball table is like one of those 8-in-1 things where it's like a little pool or whatever, but we keep it as a foosball because I like to play foosball against them. But I need to get this Lego table out of here, and then I can maybe move the foosball table elsewhere, because I have gymnastic mats and bar to my right, the foosball table, and this is to my left. And then there's Barbie Dreamhouse. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a video of it, and then I'm going to post it, and then we'll play it during the show so people can see it. But yeah, I need to actually want to make this official, and I gotta, because here's where I am right now. I can't work in terrestrial radio or audio focused radio until April 1st, but I can do other stuff right now. So I don't, come April 1st, honestly, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if there's going to be interest in me. I don't know if I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I love what Devon and Ant and Jamie and everybody at PHLY are doing. I mean, they just started up, so I can't expect there's going to be like, hey, look, you can work, and there's this full-time spot making a ton of money, and you work whatever hours you want to, right? So I'm keeping my options open. So I feel like if I really start doing this show on a nightly basis, 9:00, and we fuck around and we have fun and we talk sports and we talk a lot of non-sports, and I'll bring on Herb and some other people. But I gotta get a better setup. I gotta get somebody else involved too. I need like a producer or something. But I don't know. There you go. Why are we trying? I gotta get this guy up. Why are we trying to alienate our superstar receiver? Who's alienating the superstar receiver? I just don't understand what I don't understand. This happens for every athlete, right? Like Joe Giglio did. I would trade Bryce Harper for Juan Soto, and then they went to the World Series, right? Like he's putting interesting things out there for us to talk about. I thought it was a great discussion. That day for Joe Giglio. People were so mad, and I thought it was so funny that people were so mad. AJ Brown scrubbed the social media and didn't seem like him and Jalen were having that great of a relationship. You don't think that there's a possibility that maybe there's some things that are off in the locker room, and the reason they would keep him is because he's so damn talented? I don't see this. I don't see this mass hysteria of, fuck AJ Brown, let's trade him out of here. I've seen some talk on talk radio, and that's what we do. What's ridiculous? T.O. had an all-time year for the Eagles, and look what happened the following year. You don't think A.J. Brown's going to want a new contract? I'm not telling you I would trade A.J. Brown. What are you talking about? Like, this is sports radio. This is what Colin Cowherd does and Skip Bayless does and whatever. Like, this is what we do. Like, I'm not necessarily looking to do that type of radio, right? But I did it, and I love doing it. I would like to do something different. There's a reason why I'm sitting here on a Thursday night at 10:04 yelling and screaming about this. You're like, I think we all wanted to do something different. Okay, so AJ Brown said that scrubbing social media was nothing, but it's a business. Yeah, exactly. Like it was nothing, but it's a business. What does that mean? Why is he scrubbing social media? I, but JR, I get what you're saying. T.O. was a cancer. T.O.'s different. T.O.'s crazy. I don't think AJ's crazy. I think AJ's a wide receiver. That's probably a pain in the ass. All right, but let's keep it real. And you deal with it. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that he's a pain in the ass or a bad guy or anything like that. What I'm saying is that there was clearly something going on between the quarterback and the wide receiver during the season, right? Like the wide receiver had many opportunities to have his quarterbacks back during the season and really didn't diss him, but certainly didn't have his back. So again, there's a lot going on. You finish the season, you lose 5 or 6, anything's on the table. But anyway. All right. So again, 9:00 every Monday through Friday, right here on YouTube. And I think I have a name for it. And JR, I appreciate you checking in because I think it's an interesting conversation to have. But unfortunately, it was right at the end of the show. So we'll talk to you next. Well, we'll talk to. I think I'm doing something tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. But definitely starting Monday through Friday next week. Everybody go watch the 76ers game if you're watching live. If not, again, subscribe at John Marks Media. That's on YouTube. Subscribe. You can watch previous episodes, previous shows, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at John Marks Media. See ya.